Good evening. Tonight on One-on-One with AK, we welcome Dr. Davina Whitehurst, a remarkable individual whose life journey from the tough neighborhoods of Fort Worth, Texas, to achieving a doctorate degree in nursing is a testament to her resilience and determination. Raised by a single mother, she overcame adversity, including becoming a teenage mother while in high school. Despite the challenges, she transformed her life through education, breaking barriers as one of the few Black nurses with a doctorate degree. Dr. Whitehurst's story is about embracing life's challenges and turning them into strength, fostering empathy for her patients. Please join us as she shares her inspiring narrative of resilience and perseverance. Dr. Divina, it is a pleasure to have you. Welcome.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you. Boy, that was a good intro. I was like, "Ooh, I need to write that down. I want some of that to be in my obituary."
Yeah, you have you have a very interesting story. It's a very unique story, and I want to start off by delving into your early childhood experiences. From the ages of 5 to 12, you moved around quite a bit. You attended a new school every year, which must have been quite challenging. So can you tell us more about how having to move around so much at a young age impacted you emotionally and academically?
I think that is such an interesting question. First off, I want to give a disclaimer. My memory is horrible, but based on my current memory, moving around so much, it really impacts your social skills because, I feel that in elementary school, that's really a pivotal time when you build your circle, I'm going to say. So usually you have new friends every year. You really don't get close to anyone. And to be honest, oh, this is too much information. But I think that impacts me now. That's almost how I socialize with friends, with making friends. I have no friends from childhood. Like I usually rotate them every so many years, decades, or something of that nature. So I think it definitely impacts my life and even how I move till this day. But I do think that's one of the biggest impacts of going and moving around to so many schools, being unstable and unsteady.
So you would say as a young kid, moving from like first grade being in one school, second grade being in another school, that it impacted your ability to form bonds or relationships.
I think that would be a fair statement. Yes.
And so when you were moving around, was it your entire family? Was it just you and your
It
brother
was
and your
me,
mother?
my mom, and my brother. Yes, my
hmm
mom and my brother. Yep, it was always the three of us.
hmm
Yep,
hmm Yeah,
and she was the head of the household, of course.
right. And so your story isn't unique in the sense of as far as being raised by a single mother. A lot of us, unfortunately, in our communities are brought up in single mother households. In fact, I want to say that in our community, we talk a lot about the impact of young Black boys not having their father present, and I don't think we talk enough about young Black girls not having their fathers present. There's a phenomenon known as fatherless daughter syndrome. I don't know if you're familiar with it or you've heard it, but
I'm not familiar with it,
yeah.
but let
So
me know what it is.
yeah, so there've been like countless studies that have shown that fatherlessness or the absence of a father figure in a young girl's life has an extremely negative impact in her life. You have,
Extremely.
yeah, it does. They say, a lot of
Okay.
girls who don't have fathers in their life become sexually promiscuous. They have issues with self-esteem. They have a different attachment styles, which is like which are an avoidant attachment style or fearful attachment style because they fear abandonment, or what they do is they avoid getting in certain relationships because they feel like the other person is going to eventually abandon them. So it's like
Interesting.
they
That's
they
very
they
interesting.
preempt it. Yeah. So could you
Yeah.
share with
But
us?
child, that's my life story.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, it's a lot of women, that is their life story. I want you to share with us how not living with your father at home when you were growing up influenced your upbringing, and how it impacted your self-esteem, if it did impact your self-esteem.
It's so interesting because I wouldn't have thought that it did until you say all these things. Because, you can attribute so much to so many things.
Hmm.
But what you said was definitely my life story. I do believe that I absolutely had low self esteem, and having low self, and I think it was because of, it could be, you can say, because I was raised in a single parent household, because my mother was a very hard worker, baby. She's a hustler if she's nothing else. And she actually worked two jobs to make sure that she made ends meet. However, when you are doing that, eating is a priority rather than, dressing nice and things of that nature. So my appearance was definitely not that of people in my neighborhood, I want to say.
Hmm.
Not that it was dirty, what I'm saying? She always kept us clean and all that other stuff. But please believe me, if something new came out, baby, I wanted some of those MC Hammer pants, balloon pants. I remember when I was in middle school. I wanted some of them MC Hammer balloon pants so bad. Baby, by the time I got them, they was on to something else. They had pennies in their shoes. They were working with some penny loafers. So I'm gonna get it. It's just gonna be when it's out of style. But I didn't start rambling. Sorry,
No,
I
no,
said I
no, no.
wasn't
Go
gonna
ahead. Go ahead. You good.
ramble. So I definitely believe that I had low self esteem, but you can attribute that to so many things that I didn't believe it was because I was fatherless. I definitely believe that low self esteem will definitely make you become more promiscuous than the average. And for me, it was not abnormal because everybody who I knew was doing what I was doing, but I absolutely was promiscuous at a young age.
Hmm.
And when I got older, I attributed that to me having low self esteem and want to fit in and want to be a part and all that other good stuff. I didn't attribute that to being fatherless. And what was the other phenomenon that comes? What was the other things that come with that phenomenon?
Yeah, I mean, like again, low self-esteem, becoming
Got
promiscuous,
that one.
looking for love
Uh-huh.
in all the wrong places, having a fear of abandonment. It affects their attachment style. So
And
with
see, and I don't think I have a fear of abandonment. I don't think so. Somebody else may say differently, but
Mhm.
I absolutely, positively am a guarded person. And I usually attribute that to being a Virgo.
Mhm.
I don't attribute that to fatherlessness, but
Mhm.
it absolutely can gel those things together.
Mhm.
And all of those individually have a side effect because being having low self esteem will allow you to be accepting of treatment that is less than having being promiscuous sets you up for a teenage pregnancy.
Mhm.
Um, being what was the other one you just said? How do I keep forgetting these?
No, no, it's with the attachment style. So there's
Oh yes.
avoiding attachment style. There's like a fearful avoiding attachment style. Um, I can't recall the other one now, but there's
All of
like
them,
there's
right? But I'm
there's
just
like three.
trying to parallel.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I was just paralleling because you mentioned that. I was like, man, that does sound like my life. So interesting. And I was just trying to connect the two so they to show myself that they parallel, but they absolutely do parallel. And I think that all of those things do cause an additional side effect as the things I just mentioned. Yeah.
Hmm. So what would you say you first when you started becoming sexually active? Was that in high school or was that earlier than that?
Let's say high school. I like it. Ooh.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. Mhm. Okay.
I like it.
So you were not into the boys as much until you got to high school.
Right. And I'm gonna say that's because they became into me. Because of my low self-esteem, I never thought that anybody was interested in me. All
Hmm.
the way in elementary school, not elementary, sorry, in middle school. It's so crazy because middle school had such a huge impact on my life.
Hmm.
But when I go back and think, that's only 3 years out of all of the years. It's 12 years in school, and those was only three.
Hmm.
But however, in middle school, the boys would talk about me so bad, child. They would call me names. They would. top the back of my bra because my breasts were I was more top heavy
Mm-hmm.
than the average girl. They would say, Willie D, that song by Willie D had just came out. What you see, G? What you see, G? I see some bald headed hoes. They used to sing that about me.
Oh
I used to
man.
be so crushed.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And if you already have low self esteem, you know what I'm saying? They don't make you feel like like somebody trying to holler at you. And
Right.
it wasn't until I got to high school where everything that they bullied me about in middle school,
They started to like.
them boys was on me. You
Yeah.
hear me? I was a coke bottle, boy. I was a coke bottle when I got in high school. Them little boys didn't know what to do with. I felt
Mm-hmm.
like Mike Jones, shell. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, oh, back then they didn't want me. Now I'm hot. They all on me. No,
It's
but that was the catalyst. And I just want to add this because when I did become sexually active, the whole situation was crazy. And nobody has ever heard this before. But AK, this is an exclusive because I'm the first interview.
mm-hmm.
But if I'm the first interview, I'm giving you exclusivity.
All right.
But the first time that I'm gonna be like Betty White, make me a woman. So the first time that I had engaged was with my son's father, because who I ended up being pregnant with at the age of 17, and it was so accidental. He was so popping. He was very popular. He was uh, already a senior in high school, and everybody used to scream his name. And he was so handsome, and I would never have imagined that he would want to talk to me. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I ain't got no hair in the back. And so one day, he was my best friend's brother. And my best friend, we were like family. I would stay over there all the time, spend the night, everything. And so one day I'm over there kicking it with my best friend, and he says, Davina, come here. And I said, oh, okay, what's up? And next thing I know, we get married. And
You
I
getting
was
what?
scared for my life. Getting booty,
Mm.
punching, getting it
Yeah.
in.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Mm-hmm.
All of the above. And it's not, I didn't want to. I didn't even know who, what, when, where, or why, but I didn't know what to do. So I just went with it.
You just
It
went
was
with the
like,
flow.
okay, because, yes, and he popping.
Mm-hmm.
You know what he said? He popping. Everybody like him. He like me. So then, but that's where low self esteem gets you right there in situations that you don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. Like, how do you
Yeah.
say
So
no
I
to
shared
that?
that because how do you say no? And what, and how, and can you, and what's going, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
All
Mm-hmm.
kind of, yeah, a whole bunch of those. I mean, for many reasons. And it could be because I do think women do this. I think they restructure how they think or feel to make themselves feel comfortable in the moment. Because I definitely was uncomfortable, but to make myself feel more comfortable, I'm like, this is old boy who be dancing at the school dances that everybody be
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that was the
That was a.
change. That was the first time my life changed. That probably wasn't the first time. That was another life changing moment in my life. I definitely believe that sculpted me. Like when I think about, because I am, like you said in the introduction, I firmly believe that life sculpts us into
Mm-hmm.
the person, and it's the way that you view it that makes you. I believe that life sculpts us, and the
Mm-hmm.
way that you view that is what you end up coming up with. You know what I'm saying? You could take the same chicken, and if you may want to make it into lemon pepper, I'm gonna make it into lemon pepper. Let me take that back because I love me some lemon pepper. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna make it into lemon pepper, but you may make it into teriyaki. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, but it's still chicken. And so that's how I feel with life. Some our experiences are going to be similar, and it's just how we depend on looking at them and shaping them to allow them to shape us. And I do believe that was a area of life changing shaping for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You're as a student, you said initially that initially you were a good student, and then at some point you fell off. Can you tell us about that?
I can because after speaking with you the last time and even thinking about this, I really feel like I've always been a good student. I just never knew that I was a good student because I really it almost seems like I'm blaming people, but I really am a firm believer that I was raised old school, so I believe what people tell me. If an adult tells me something, then that's what I believe. And so, and I believe that across the board. If they tell me it's Santa, I believe that it's Santa. If they tell you you stupid, you believe you stupid. And so, just when I think about it, I remember that when I was in the fifth grade at one of the schools that I attended, I ended up getting. Actually, I was in the fourth grade at one of the schools I attended for that fourth grade year. I ended up getting a scholarship. And at the time, I didn't even know what a scholarship was, but I ended up getting a scholarship to college in the fourth grade. So that you can't be too stupid.
Mm-hmm.
But that's in retrospect when I think about back about it. Back when that's in retrospect when I think back about it. I feel like, well, dang, I couldn't have been that stupid. But I think what happened is I drank the Kool-Aid. I believed what people told me, and so I started to believe that I was less than. And so as life went on, school became less important to me. When I was in middle school, my friends and I would start skipping school. I mean, skipping class.
Mm-hmm.
So we would skip class. And then when we got to high school, I started skipping school. So we would have guys come pick us up from school or ride the bus to guys' houses or whatever. And by the time I had my son, I was a senior in high school. I just did what I wanted to do. And so I attended all of the fun stuff with the senior year. I attended school every day at 10:46 a.m. because that's when breakfast started. That's when lunch started. And I went to the first lunch, the second lunch, and the third lunch. I also would go to senior skip day and just all the prom. I did all the senior events except for class. And one day I accidentally came to class. They were having this walkout protest about Farrington Field. I forgot what it was about, but it was something about we walked to the football field. So when I came to class at 10:46, class actually was still ongoing because the students had staged a walkout. And so I ended up having to go to class. And when I went to class, there was a pop quiz. And I hadn't been to class in I don't know how many months. So I took the pop quiz because I took it. And I still made the B. So that just lets me know that I feel like it's always been in me. I just did not believe in myself. And then the more I began to, so when I changed my mind and changed my path and decided at having my son, I got pregnant when I was 16 years old, and I had my son 2 weeks after my 17th birthday, and that was another life changing event for me. Like it made me want to do better, but for whatever school was not the do better for me though. It just made me want to do better in other ways. I did become more responsible. When I was pregnant, I used to walk. I learned how to crochet and I made him some little booties. And I used to go to this school called New Life that they had in Fort Worth that was for pregnant teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was there, I made all A's. And it was because they gave you money. They gave you I don't think they were called New Life bucks, but they gave you New Life bucks based on your grades and your attendance. And then you can use those bucks to buy stuff. It's almost like a yard sale. They will bring in used clothes, some diapers and things of that nature that you can purchase for the baby with your New Life bucks. So then I would use my New Life bucks to purchase things for my baby. And you can only stay at that school until your child is 6 weeks old. So after my son turned 6 weeks, I went back to high school, and which was Trimble Tech, and I was never the same again. I just didn't go to school.
Mm-hmm. So you went from being a pretty good student to just not really caring about school and believing what other people told you. So aside from that scholarship when you were in fourth or fifth grade, because if memory serves me correctly, the scholarship was to go to like some program at a university?
I have no clue. It was for college. It was college, but what was it? Who, what, when, where, and why?
You can't remember.
I don't know anything else. I don't remember. But I just remember it was a scholarship for college, but I don't know nothing else.
But
from the local bank.
But you expected a different response from the one you got, right? Because I know that the last time we spoke, you mentioned that you were pretty excited about it, and it should have been a moment of celebration. But however, the response you received from your loved ones was not what you had anticipated or hoped for. Can you share a little bit more about that?
I cannot remember all the emotions that were involved in that, but I do know that I am disappointed. I was disappointed quite often, in many ways, and it was usually about the response that I received from my loved ones. The crazy part, pardon me, I'm so sorry. But the crazy part is, I love this quote that Star Jones always says, and she says, "Disappointment does not come from the things that you receive, but from the things that you expect." And I absolutely grew up with expectations that were not met. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't,
And so this pretty much set the trajectory for you by the time you got to junior high school. Because um, you had moved around. I know your family had moved into a much safer and better neighborhood, but you still kind of hung around in the hood. Talk about that a little bit.
well, I think that's a two-parter,
Mm-hmm.
because the crazy part is, I didn't realize this until I was an adult. And it almost goes back to what I said earlier. I believed, it sounds so gullible to hear it and almost unbelievable, but it's really true. And I can't be the only one that just goes by what your parent tells you. And my mom was so gung ho on not living in the hood. That was something that was very important to her. That was a high priority. And she worked her butt off, and she worked two jobs, and our residence, our mailing address was not in the hood. It was not.
Mm-hmm.
However, like I said earlier, and when she told me, and she took pride in telling us that we do not live in the hood, I believed we did not live in the hood, and we did not. We did not, which made me feel a little prestige. It made me walk my head up just a little bit higher.
Mm-hmm.
However, like I said also earlier, she used to work two jobs. So we couldn't even stay at home because she was at work around the clock. So really, we spent in our formative years, when we were unable to stay home alone, we would stay in my aunt's house. And my aunt lived in the heart of the hood. She
Mm-hmm.
lived in the project. So every hood experience that everybody else in the hood has experienced, I have experienced. I've eaten government cheese. No, it wasn't via my mother, but I've eaten government cheese. That's been my only meal. I've seen the things that you've seen, and you know what I'm saying. And so I felt very bamboozled, because in my mind I felt like I wasn't raised in the hood. However, no, my mailing address was not in the hood, but I was raised by the hood,
Mm-hmm.
which is another sculpting moment, because I love the hood, baby. Ain't nothing like it. Like, if you know how to be from the hood, it is life changing for you. And that is my hope, is to reach people who are like me, who are from the hood, and let that sculpt their life, where they know how to be street smart and know how to be wise, but also know how to carry themselves and make better decisions, and know the things that they are risking, and things of that nature. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So
because I think that the hood really can sculpt. I think that the hood really can sculpt you. I think going through things, trials and tribulations, really makes a person.
but does it have to be the hood? I mean, because there's some people who learn some very bad things from being in the hood. So I mean, the hood is
And
not all
see,
bad, but it's not all great either.
it's not all good. I agree. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
I think, just like life, it is what you make of it. Anywhere you go, I do believe that all of us have been through something, and I do believe there is a certain lesson that you get from, quote unquote, the hood, that you cannot get from anywhere else. And I believe it's just how you look at it, and I think it's perspective, because I have I have one family member, baby, she be doing some technology stuff I have never seen in my life, in order to scam and do fraud. However, she can multiply. Do you know what I'm saying? So if
Mm-hmm.
she would use that to for good, she probably could be a millionaire. And that's also something that social media is teaching me too. These people in prison, have you ever seen prison TikTok?
Mm-mm.
They be in there doing some wild stuff that is so inventive that you'll be like, what the heck? So I do think it's some bad stuff, but I also think it's perspective. I do think the mindset of the hood is a horrible thing, but I think that the struggle that you go through in the hood teaches you some lessons that you really can't learn anywhere else. And that's
Um,
just my take on it.
give me
That's
give
where I
me
learned my lesson.
give me an example of how the hood shaped you, um, and made you who you are. Right? I mean, because you went from not being a great student in school and to being a teenage mother to dropping out to eventually getting your doctorate degree, getting your bachelor's, associate's, bachelor's, master's, then your doctorate degree in nursing. Tell us about
that me.
Tell us about how the hood shaped you to make you who you are.
To do that.
Yeah.
You know what? That's such a great question, and I love hearing that. I'm gonna give you one of my favorite ways that it shaped me.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my favorite ways is through the struggle. Man, like I was just saying earlier as well, is that my mom was so poor. Not if she heard me say poor, she would be offended.
Mm-hmm.
But to be real, like we was trying to make ends meet. But honest, so we weren't poor per se, but we were definitely living. We was good time trying to keep our head above water. So she would thrift a whole bunch. And I would be so embarrassed when we have to go thrift. I'd be looking all around looking for people to see me. Because baby, when they see me thrifting, they'll talk about my clothes so bad. And do you know that Abe, today, that is my number one, that's my superpower, thrifting. What I got on head to toe, looking like $1,000,000, might I add, cost me $2.25. No, you can't teach that. You can't learn that nowhere else. You know how to take nothing and turn it into something. That's what the hood taught me. Because my mom could not get it for me, I had to learn how to work with what I had. And now I work with what I have. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And it's so crazy. The craziest part for me that blows my mind every day at this stage of my life is that I have made it to the woman that I want to be. And that and I don't know what other people see, but when they see me, people really think I was raised with the silver spoon in my mouth. People really believe that I have not had a day of struggle, which tells me that I learned how to take nothing and turn it into something. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And at first, I used to take that for granted. I used to say everybody could go thrifting. That's not true. I've seen people do it, and they cannot come out. If you give me a $5 bill, because that's what I have on right now, not from my head, because this was a little more with Amazon. Mm-hmm. But anyway, from my shoulders down, this is a $5 bill. Do you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That's my favorite thing that the hood has taught me. Mm-hmm. The second thing that the hood has taught me is most of it is how to take nothing and turn it into something. I'm gonna tell you this other story that I rarely tell. Mm-hmm. When I was a little young buck and I had my son, he was 1 year old. We were virtually homeless. We were living on my homegirl's couch. I had to find somewhere to live. It's so crazy. This guy ended up hitting my car a few weeks earlier, and I don't even know what had become of it. But next thing I know, I got a check in the mail for $950. So I was like, boom, I'm about to go get us somewhere to live. Mm-hmm. Now, mind you, I was virtually homeless. I did not have a job. I was going to school to get my medical assistant, and the guy at the time I was married, and the guy had left me. He decided to do something differently, which left me. So he didn't pay his half of the rent. He didn't pay his nothing. So I just was homeless. Long story short, me and my son sleep on my homegirl's couch. And so got the check in the mail. And I said, boom, I'm going to go get us somewhere to live. And because I'm from the hood, you know how to make it do what it do. So I told him when I went and applied for the place, they said, do you have a job? And I said, of course I have a job. So I wrote down I had the job, and I put my homegirl's phone number down so they can call her. And I'm like, look, they're going to call you, so be ready. So she can answer like, ABC, cleaning, how can I help you? Oh, Davina? Yeah, she's been working here 6 months. Boom. See, some people will call that fraud. However, I call it inventive. And that's something that the hood teaches you that you could use for bad, but that was good for me. It put a roof over my son's head. So for me, it's good. Mm-hmm. When I was a young buck, I used to have a fake ID that I got from the local outdoor flea market, because we would my cousins always wanted me to go to the club with them, and that's what I would use, this fake ID to get into the club. At this time, I was it was before my son, and I got pregnant at 16. Mm-hmm. So all this crazy stuff was happening between the ages of 15 and 16. So I had the fake ID and just to get in the club. But then I was like, how about I just go get a job? So I took that fake ID and I went and got my first job. Actually, I was 14 at the time, because you had to be 15 to work there. Mm-hmm. And I used my fake ID to give me a job. So the hood gives you courage and teaches you ways to And just like you said, it can be used for good or bad. It's just my perspective. My people who got it for me and told me where to go get it, they were wanting to use it, not necessarily for bad, but for bad, their only intent was for me to go to the club. But
Mm-hmm.
my perspective is I could use it for much more. I could capitalize off of this. And so I used it to gain employment. And so my first job, I worked at Kroger's as a stacker. And I was, actually, I was 13. I was 14 when I worked at Kroger's, but I was 13 in my first job. Yeah.
And so,
I hope I answered your question.
no, we're going to keep it rolling. And
Okay.
so by the time you got to high school, you went from being shy to being you went from being an introvert to an extrovert because you were, you had a lot of attention from the boys, right? You were, I don't know if you were validation seeking or you were seeking the boys' attention, but you did get it. And so, at that point, you're no longer shy, Davina. That's correct in saying that, right? I mean, you're
I will say that.
Yeah, you're no more of a shy. So
I definitely had a different, in high school, my confidence definitely was increased.
Mm-hmm. So I want to ask you because I mean you had your son's father. So you got pregnant and you married your son's father, and he was.
I did not marry my son's father.
Oh, you didn't.
I never even dated my son's father.
Okay. So you didn't.
So that encounter that we had that I told you about, that he changed that was life changing for me. It definitely gave me a different perspective, and it really changed my speed.
Oh, so your son's father was also your first. Is that
correct?
Okay. Okay.
Correct.
So after you get out of high school, you get married, right? And you had you went through like different relationships and on your journey to getting your degree. Tell us about your first marriage and how supportive or not supportive your husband was of your attempt to complete schooling.
My first marriage was so short-lived. This is also another exclusive because many people who know me do not know that I was married when I was 18 years old. That's when I got married to my first husband.
Mm-hmm.
And it was very short-lived. We were married 12 months. And he absolutely was not supportive because that's what I just said. We had an apartment together and we went half on the bills. And when it came to his half, I stopped going to school so that I could attend medical assisting school. So I stopped working, sorry. I stopped working so that I could attend medical assisting school because it was Monday through Friday, how many hours to have how many hours. And I just let my financial aid pay for half of my half of the bills. And for whatever reason, I won't even take you through that whole story, Chad. But one day I came home and there was a pink slip on my door that our electric bill wasn't paid. And next thing you know, it was time to pay the rent, and he couldn't do his part of the rent. And he just never came back, and I was homeless. I was left with nowhere to go. I was evicted, and actually, it was so funny. That was not my first apartment. That was my second apartment. Yeah, my first apartment when I had gotten evicted, I couldn't afford to pay my rent, and they put a notice on my door, and so I moved out. And so about a week later, they called me and they was like, "Where are you at?" And I was like, "I moved out. I got a notice on my door." And they was like, "You don't have to move out. Like, that's just saying if you don't pay within this amount of time, you have." It was so funny. Yeah, I didn't even know that I had time to pay.
Wow.
So him, he just
so your first husband abandoned you. That's what it sounds like.
really, yeah. In a nutshell,
Okay, so he left you, and then you decided to go ahead and terminate the relationship because he abandoned his responsibility.
Correct.
Okay. Okay.
And personally, I believe that because it really wasn't my choice to get married. My mother did encourage me to get married, and personally, as an adult, I feel that she probably felt very. I think she was afraid for me, and because I was a young woman without with a GED and a brand new baby, that because my son wasn't even one when I met my first husband, and so I think she probably was just afraid, and so she encouraged me to get married, and I just don't think I should have. Just honestly, like that was for real. That was for play.
Mm-hmm.
hmm
Mm-hmm.
It was
Mm-hmm.
for real, but it should have been for play for real.
Right. And so, yeah, becoming a mother is, it's often transformative, and it seems like it definitely changed your trajectory. Whereas before you
Absolutely.
were about hanging out, once you had your kid, you seemed to be more focused on school and getting your education, but you didn't have the right person with you. That's what it seems like for your first husband.
Right. Right. And I think that I agree. I think that I was definitely trying to build what I would want for my child.
Mm-hmm.
Having my son was absolutely life changing, and I personally believe life saving. And I am a firm person that believes in that everything's happened for a reason, season, or a lifetime, and I believe it happened for a reason. It was definitely life changing because everything I did thereafter was for my son. And getting married and trying to form a family, I think I was agreeing to that because I was doing that for my son.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then you got married again.
And then I got married again.
You got married again. So
So then I went to school. So
so,
what had happened was,
so hold
I
on,
went to
hold on.
school. So after
How long after your first marriage did you get into the second marriage?
I think 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was 3 years. Uh, Based on the years, I believe it was three. Because what had happened was I ended up going to school. So I had to stop going to school because old boy left.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have nowhere to go. We were sleeping on my homegirl's couch. We were virtually homeless. We started out sleeping on my mom's couch. She got evicted. So then I had to sleep on my homegirl's couch, which wasn't even her couch because she lived with her mom. Because once again, I'm still a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
So she lived with her mama. So I'm sleeping on her mama's couch, me and my son. And they were like family to me. And you know what? That's another thing that I really want to point out that even though I can say I did it by myself, I really did have people who gave me the opportunity, I'm going to say,
Mm-hmm.
to do it because that was a life changing moment for me. And I do believe that I'm not a religious person, but I'm spiritual, and I do believe the universe or whatever it is gives you what you need if you pay attention. And that's what I told you about the check that I got, and I had to just put everything on pause to go and get it out the mud and make sure that I had everything I need to get for me and my child. So after that, I ended up going back to school so that I can complete my certification, and that's where I met my second husband, who we courted and had a great time, and he was an awesome guy, and so we ended up getting married. And the crazy part is, I really have never wanted to get married. That's the funny part. I never wanted to get married, but yeah, I'm out here looking like Jaja Gabor, getting married over and over again. I just think that the spirit, I think that's who I am as a person, though, in the inside. I think I am just a nurturing person. Family is very high on my priority list. And I think that's probably why.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So husband number two, it was going great for a while,
A long time.
for a long
hmm
time, and he stepped up. And, he was a good father figure for your son, and
I believe he gave it what he had. Absolutely.
yeah, so he was good, but then you wanted to go back to school, and it caused a little bit of an issue. Talk about that.
Right. Well, originally it did not because when I got with him, I had only had the medical assistant because we met in school,
Mm-hmm.
and then so when went back to school to get my associate's degree, he did not have a problem with that. So I went back to school, got my associate's degree. The whole time though, I'm juggling. I am going to school. I'm working full time. I'm a full time mother. I'm a full time stepmother. I had a best friend that was like a sister to me that I absolutely poured into. So I'm spreading myself thin all the way across the board, but I'm making it do what it do. And when I went back and got my bachelor's degree, he was not opposed to it as well.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't have a vote in it. I actually didn't even ask him about it, I believe. And I did all the things. I never dropped the ball. I kept everything up in the air. And so then I was like, hey, because I started feeling myself like I could do an associate, I could do a bachelor's. I was like, let's see if I could do a master's. So I was like, hey, what you think about me getting a master's degree? And he was like, I don't think you should do that. And I was like, what? Like, why? And he didn't have a reason why he didn't think I should do that. He just said it wasn't a good idea. However, I chose to do that, and
And
there was a dissolution
of the
in our
marriage.
marriage. Yeah,
So
yeah.
what do you think? I mean, looking back at it now, do you think that it was because, hey, you know, you need to do wifely duties, or do you think it was more of, you know, why do you need to have this much education? Is she going to think that she's better than me? What do you think caused the problems with you getting your education? Did it take from the home?
Really, I do believe it was intimidation. I really, really do. And I'm not even trying to toot my own horn or be any type of way, but I do believe it was intimidation because a number of things that I introduced to him after getting my associate's degree, after becoming a nurse, I believe was even intimidating to him. Like we ended up going on, I took the whole family on vacation. He had two girls and it was my son. So I took the two girls, my son, him and myself, we all went to Florida, to Orlando, and that was his first time ever flying. And he was like, and this was a quote from him. He said, I thought white people were the only people who go on family vacations. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So he was from the hood, because baby, I love me a hood brother.
Mm-hmm.
But and so I think that it was intimidating, for whatever else. I think that it made him have to step his game up, because you just can't sit by, and that's honestly my blessing on my life, is because you cannot sit by and watch me move, because you can say, if she can do it, I can do it, because that's just little old Davina. And that's why I love my struggle, because my struggle makes me relatable, and if I can do it, you can do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he didn't want to do it. That's the crazy part. But check this out, not long ago, and I haven't been with him for over a decade. But not long ago, when he got it, he went and got some type of advancement or degree. He ended up texting me like, "Oh, I got a so and so degree." And whenever he has wins in his life,
Mm-hmm.
he definitely informs me of his wins.
So
And I feel like because I'm motivating in that way.
is it motivate? And so motivation or competition?
I don't know, but I take it as motivational, because
Mm-hmm.
I love when people stun on me. I love it
Mm-hmm.
because I do not, and I feel like that's why I had to move from my. If that was getting divorced from him, and in the situation that happened all in that time period was the hardest part of my life, and I believe that it was necessary for me to be the woman who I am. I had to break outside of my mold, but in that group of peers, I was at the top tier. And to
Mm-hmm.
me, you cannot grow if you're at the top tier. You
Mm-hmm.
cannot. You need people who are going to give you inspiration and challenge you and inspire you. And so, for me personally, when people stun on me, I don't know what. Once again, it's perspective. It's how you receive it. I don't know what their motivation is, but for me, I love to be stunned on, because that let me know that you out here living your best life. You out here getting it, and that's what I want for everybody. I want everybody to live their best life.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not in competition. It's only one person I'm in competition with, Abe. And can you guess her name?
Davina.
Dr.
Doctor
Davina
Doctor
Boo.
Davina. That's right. That's right. So
That's what I'm telling you. So even if so, because it's crazy, because that's how people tell me stuff like that all the time. For me, is I love it. I love it. It's feedback from me. I think I must motivate you. Even if it motivates you to want to stun on me, I'm still motivating.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So did you get divorced before you got your master's degree, or during, while you
Absolutely.
were?
Before.
Okay.
Yeah. So I
Okay.
was a single mother, a divorcee, a single mother, back on the dating game, a student, a grad student, all at the same time. And I was married to him for 10 years. I think I was with him for 12 and married for 10, which was that was another life changing moment for me.
Mm-hmm.
That
Mm-hmm.
scoped me. What I learned about that is that I bend, but I don't break, baby.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned that it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay to bend and not break, because people think that when life hits them with adversity that it's over. No, it's supposed to. What I did learn, no, seriously, this is the biggest thing. What I did learn is that you cannot have a rainbow without the rain. So you better learn how to weather the storm so that you can get the rainbow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And So you worked on your master's degree, and then you got married again.
And then I got married again.
Right.
And that was very important to me, to be honest, because while I was out there shooting in the gym, it was very important that I had somebody who was at least gonna come sit on the bench, because I didn't want to wait till after the fact, because I wanted someone who genuinely wanted to be with me for me, not who wanted to be with me because I'm a nurse practitioner. So that was very important to me to try to find someone. I didn't get married before I got my sorry, I lied, because I did not get married before I got the master's degree, but I did start dating my current husband before I got my master's degree.
And he was with you while you were working on your doctorates.
Yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And
He is so awesome.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what, if it were not for my second husband, because the first one I don't even count, yeah. And then, I hate that I even mentioned it. And to be honest, it's so many things that I'm so embarrassed about, Abe. I'm embarrassed that I was married so many times. I'm embarrassed that I had a GED. I used to be embarrassed that I wore thrifted clothes. But everything that I have been embarrassed about has in turn become my victory story, or you know what I'm saying, my superpower, if you will. So I was divorced from my ex-husband, and the time that I took off to myself to get to know myself, to improve myself, to work on myself, to all this kind of stuff made me into the woman who I am today, and I'm so grateful and thankful for everything that I went through.
Yeah. I mean, and I'm sure your story will be inspiring to some person or some young girl out there whose experience is similar to yours. So third time is a charm, right? And
I agree.
Hey,
third time is a charm.
There's some people who, some people have a hard time getting one, but at least you were able to find,
that ain't no good statement. Don't even say, hey, you got me feeling like Jaga for real.
No, I'm just so I mean, hey, so third time is a charm, and the third one is a keeper, and he's been
he's a lifelong.
He's been very.
We've been
supportive.
rocking. I met him online, believe it or not. I met him online, and this September we will have been married for 5 years, been together for 9 years, and we have a lifetime to go. Man, he has taught me so many things about myself that I would have never imagined. Yeah, I don't know. And I could not, and what I do know for a fact, I could not be this Divina without all the things that I've been through. I could not, my ex-husband had to tell me that I nagged too much. And then there one boy who I was dating while I was single, and I had thought I was going to have to put him out my car. He had to, you know what I'm saying? I had to go through each and every one of those stumbles so I could be like, you know what? Maybe I do nag too much. So then when my husband would never say that. My current husband would never, because it's not the same person. You know what I'm saying? That I'm not the same person who I used to be at all. And I could not have been, I cannot be this person before you without all the things that have shaped me. And what I have to do is be able to look back over those things and use my own perspective to take the good from those. Because it could be bad. You could say, woe is me. Because excuse me. The funny thing is, I do not condone teen pregnancy. But nobody's told me about this back then. Everybody told me I wasn't going to be nothing. It was going to be hard. I was going to be on welfare. And I am very pleased to announce I've never been on welfare one day in my life. And I had my son September the 11th, 1996. Now, I did apply for welfare. One time I wanted some food stamps, and I used to have this telemarketing job that paid me $9 an hour. I had a tote-to-note car that cost me $100 per week at the time. And I went into the food stamp office, and I had an apartment. And I went into the food stamp office. I made the application. And she said, I'm sorry, ma'am. I could tell that you're barely making, and this is a quote, I'm going to never forget that statement as long as I live. She said, I'm sorry, ma'am, but I could tell that you're barely making ends meet, but you make too much for a two-person household. So I said, you mean to tell me if I did not work, then you would give me food stamps? And she said, yeah, I'm sorry. That don't even make sense.
Right.
That doesn't make sense to me. And what I'm not going to do I'm not going to allow anybody to feed me. That's what that that's what that life-changing moment taught me. I'm not
Mm,
going to allow anybody to feed me. I'm going to feed myself for the rest of my days. And actually, I'm going to feed others. I'm going to have the abundance where I have the ability to feed others. And guess what? That's what I do. I feed others. I end up digging in my purse every like quarter. I'll go in my purse. I'll make sandwiches, get water, crackers. I'll take it out to this a main drag where all the homeless people chill at
mm-hmm,
and pass out sandwiches and water and nut and toiletries to the homeless people on my own dime. Yeah,
mm,
so
mm. So,
I don't need no welfare.
so, you've experienced like some of the influences from the hood, negative influences, you know, hanging out wilding as a teenager. You experienced the low expectations that other people had of you, and you've mentioned that you actually lived up to their low expectations, which is why you dropped out of high school. So I want to say that, breaking free from the cycle of negative influences and low expectations is very difficult. It's no small feat. How did you manage to rise above your circumstance? Briefly, just say how you managed to rise above your circumstance and create this path to success that you've eventually found.
You know, I think it's a couple of things. One, and I don't know, I usually share different strategies that I've done. But one of the things that I've just thought about right now that helped me to do that is to mm, believe in myself. I had a talk to me, literally. I had a conversation with myself, and I said, Davina, you can be whatever you want to be. Do you know how deep that is? People say it all the time, but when you take that into grasp,
Mm-hmm.
because when people say that, when people say, hey, you could be whatever you want to be, they start naming occupations. You could be a doctor, a lawyer, the president. But then when I sat in the mirror and told myself, I said, you could be a good person. You could be resilient. You could be confident. You could be a good mother. You could be, and I started naming the things that I wanted to be. The next thing I started doing is saying, what does it take to be those things? How can I be resilient? How can I be self confident? How can I be a good mother? Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
How can I be a nurse? All of them. I went further than just my occupation because when because to be honest, I want to set up a legacy. I want my name to ring for years to come. I want to right now in these days that I'm living currently, I want to write my obituary. I don't want y'all in that line about me talking about she was a good person.
Mm-hmm.
No, I want to truly be a good person. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? I
Right.
want you to have a resume that you can back that up with. I want you to. So anyway, I just started deciding the things that I wanted to be. Boom, I want to be these things. I said, well, how do I be? How do I become those things? And then I started investigating on how to become those things. And then I started being those things. And the number one way you can do that is by setting goals. That's the number one way. And I live and I die by goal setting. I set a goal every single day. I don't accomplish it every day, but I
Mm-hmm.
set a goal every single day. That's number one point blank. That's gonna be
Right.
number two, I guess.
Right.
Because number one is you need to decide who and what you want to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I mean, at least if you write a goal, I mean, you have something to shoot for. Um,
I agree with that. Uh-huh. And it's crazy because I almost with thinking about who I want to be. The other part is knowing who I am. So if somebody told me, Davina, you ain't got no hair in the back, because that's what kills me about today's society. People are so sensitive and so whatever. When sometimes you're just telling them the truth. Do you know people will not tell you your breath stinks because they don't want you to react? Why would I react if you're trying to help me? People will not tell you you have a booger in your nose because they don't want to embarrass you. But you want me to walk around with a booger in my nose? That don't even make sense. So
well,
I'm a logical person because I'm a Virgo.
mm-hmm.
What was you gonna say? I want to
No,
hear what
I
you
was saying some people, man, they can't handle when you correct them, and so some people have
And that's
just.
the whole thing. I had to tell myself, why would you be mad that somebody told you the truth?
Mm-hmm.
So I started listening to the truth. I used to go by this thing everybody says. I don't care what nobody say about me. I don't care what people say. What I discovered about myself when I took time to get to know myself, I care what people say. And to be honest, I really need to digest what people say. Not in necessary so I can change my ways, but so I can know what I'm delivering. And are they buying what I'm selling?
Mm-hmm.
Because do you know it's so crazy because so many people, and this is to me, this is crazy. So many people have a first impression that I'm a stuck-up bitch. That's what these people have told me. So many people have told me that I believe that to be fact, that people do perceive me that way. However, that's not who I am.
Mm-hmm.
I have a homegirl. I was just talking to her the other day. We've been friends since 2005, and that's how we met. She said, I just came in to do a job interview. I was just standing up against the wall. That's when I worked at the hospital. I wasn't even a nurse yet. I was a unit secretary, and I was applying for a job, and I was standing up against the wall. And she said, I looked up and I said to myself, look at this stuck up bitch. And I said, but what did I do? I didn't even do nothing. But because I am receptive to what people say, I know that that's what people are perceiving, even though that's not what I'm selling. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that you have to be open to what people are receiving from you so that you can make sure that they're getting what you're selling.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, it's okay. If you want to be, it's okay to be you. I had to tell myself that too. It's okay to be you. If you can't do nothing about having no hair in the back, then you better accept it. Because that's not the only thing about you. You're also very intelligent. If you have a big belly, baby, I'm the cutest big belly helper that you will ever run into. You better be comfortable with you. So that way I don't have to be influenced by what you say. You know what I'm saying? If you come and tell me I have a big belly, I'm not going to cry. Because I know that. I look in the mirror every single day.
You know.
I feel like you got something to say.
No. I'm
Let
listening.
me uncross my arms. Let me come in peace.
This is your interview. I'm listening.
But I still want to hear what you have to say.
No, I was gonna say that, you know, you have this, I don't know, you have this spirit, you have this can-do spirit. Nobody's gonna stop you, but at the same time, you have a self-awareness to listen to what others have to say about you in order to make the correction. So I just thought that was interesting.
Oh, okay, cool. I wouldn't have said it like that, but that's how I feel, and I feel like I have to, because that's how I can accept who I am. Because one thing I learned during my journey as well is that so many people do not know who they are.
Mm-hmm.
The other day, I asked this lady what was her favorite food. She couldn't even tell me. How you don't know that? You with you every single day of the week. And some stuff we do not know. Some stuff we just don't know. We
Yeah,
don't.
you
We
don't
just
think
don't.
about it. You don't
And
think about it.
so, and I get that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I get that. So if somebody's telling you that, everybody not against you. Everybody's not. Some people, and that's another thing I wish I could say. Everybody not against you, and some that are really do, or they are telling the truth. And it's up to you. I told this one lady, because I'm self-aware, and I told this one lady, I said, I'm selfish. And she said, oh, I'm so sorry. I hope you work on that. Why? Because I like that. I like the selfishness in me. You know what I'm saying? So not only because people think it's a negative attribute, don't mean that you have to think it's a negative attribute. You could be whatever you want to be,
Mm-hmm.
and what I want to be it has a little dash of selfishness in there. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I think we all have a little bit of selfishness in us anyway.
And we should, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, I sure hope I answered your question, Chad, because I was all over the place. So.
No, you're good. So I want to talk about you giving back and mentoring young girls who come from a similar background. I mean, you've mentioned that you have a desire to inspire young girls who come from a similar background, which is truly admirable. What message do you want to convey to these young women out there based on the experiences that you've had?
I'm so glad that you asked. I'm glad I had made me a note because I want to make sure that I hit my high points.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm glad that you asked because I believe that people get fooled because they don't know that their lives will be filled with trials, tribulations, and celebrations. We all, 100% of us, everybody walking this earth is going to go through something. And so it's going to be up to you as that individual to take those experiences and make them work for you. And make what was meant to kill you, make you stronger. And I do think that I like to use my life lessons, my trials, tribulations, and celebrations to demonstrate that you can do whatever you want to do and be whatever you want to be. Mm-hmm. And to me, for me, life has given me so many lessons. And on my Instagram, I'm sorry, my TikTok, I always jump on there and, post what I believe that life has taught me. So I do want people to follow me on my TikTok at
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Davina DMP. Ding! But I also wanted to tell you, I wanted to give you three things that three life lessons that I think have sculpted me the most.
Mm-hmm.
And the first life lesson that has sculpted me the most, let me make sure I got it. Okay. Yeah. And the first life lesson that has sculpted me the most is that if you change your perspective, you will change your life. To me, that's the biggest and the strongest because we are all gonna go through something.
Mm-hmm.
We all are gonna get a glass that's half empty. So the question is, are you gonna view it as half empty and be mad that you're still thirsty? Be mad that it's half empty, be mad that they wasted the glass? Or are you going to look at it and see, man, this is half full. Let me see what I can do with it. But see, Abe, if they give me a glass that's half full, I'm gonna squeeze a little lemon in it, put a little ice in it, and baby, I'm gonna call that lemonade and I'm gonna sell it for $5 a glass. You see, that's how I'm built. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
All right, but anyway, I'm gonna sit there right there. So the number two thing that I think that I want to convey that life has taught me is that you should dream big. Oh, my hair stuck. Wait a minute. So I should have did the ponytail. Why did I listen to you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but the number two thing that I want to convey that I think that life has taught me is that you should dream big. Because what's gonna happen? What's the worst that's gonna happen? Uh, the two biggest questions that I get asked when I'm out in the field and the black people see me, they run up to me and they say, "You a nurse practitioner?" And I say, "Yes, I am." The first question they say, "Was it hard?" And I say, "Yeah." And the second question they ask is, "How long did it take?" And I say, "A long time." Excuse me. And I say, "A long time," because the thing of it is that baby, life is hard. You know what I'm saying? Do you think it's not hard to apply for welfare? Do you think it's not hard to sit at the welfare office all day long? Do you think it's not hard to reapply every 3 months? Whatever the rules and regulations that come with that, that's hard. That's hard to get your man stuff and put it up before them folk come check your house
Mm-hmm.
while you on Section 8. You know what I'm saying? Life is hard, so it's where you want to put that energy. Wherever you do, whatever you do, you think it's not hard standing on the corner in 110-degree heat, holding a sign and say, "We'll work for food." Life's gonna be hard, however you put it. So it's where you put that heart at. Do you know what I'm saying? I just rather put my heart into education. I really did not know that that's where it was for me. Because, like you said earlier, I didn't even know I was a good student, baby. I didn't even know even after getting my degrees that I was a good student until I got my bachelor's degree. Because when I got my bachelor's degree, I did not go to the graduation. They mailed it to me, and baby, when that thing came through and said magna cum laude, I said, what is this? Your girl graduated with honors. I didn't even know what honors was. But anywho, dream big because what's the worst going to happen? And the other thing is when they ask me how long, it took a long time. And I always tell them, maybe 10 years are going to pass. You can spend 10 years in college or you can just spend 10 years doing this job, but 10 years is going to pass. You think that I got everything I want overnight? No, this ain't no microwave. It right here take a little time. You got to let it cook. So the time is going to pass. So why you won't invest it in yourself? And the number three thing, I'm going to let you go with the number three thing that I have to tell people that will help them to change their life and reach their full potential is that it's my favorite scripture in the whole entire world. I used to live by this. It's my life mantra. When everything's got hard for me, I would read this scripture, and it's Ecclesiastes 9:11. And the crazy part is that my son was born on 9/11, and don't look it up in King James because it probably don't sound like this. But the gist of it is the race is not given to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, but to the one who endures until the end. Which means, and what that means to me is, all you have to endure, baby. That's all you have to do is endure. This is about resilience. This is about the long game. This is about putting your head down and keep running. It's about getting in your lane, putting your head down, and keeping your eye on the prize. And you're going to get there. You don't have to be the strongest. You don't have to be the smartest. Abe, I cannot spell the word receive. If somebody came in here right now and said they'll give me $1 billion, I'm gonna say, can I use a lifeline? Baby, I'm gonna sing I before E except after C, and I'm still get it wrong 50% of the time. I can't spell to save my life, but I know that's my weakness. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I know that the battle is not given to the swift, nor the battle is not given to the strong. And I can be weak, and I still can win the race.
Right.
That's what I do know.
So you believe in endurance, and you have to endure. So it's that saying that life is not a track meet, it's a marathon, and you got to keep running your race.
A marathon.
And so now, and I think we're about to wrap up. I mean, but looking back at your life achievements, looking at your back at your life and achievements, if you could go back and give advice to your younger self, considering all the challenges that you faced, what would you tell your younger self?
You know what? I love this because I recently, when I got my doctorate this December, I did a whole thing and I said what I would tell myself. And right now, my birthday's coming up here this month. And being where I am today, I would have never even guessed I would be where I'm at today. The person who I am, with the stance that I have, the confidence, the morals, the support, the wisdom, the creativity, all this stuff that makes me the dope person I am today. So for that, the only thing I would go back and tell my younger self is, you go, girl. You a bad mama jamma. And you know what else I'll tell my younger self? Put some dog mane on that back part right there. Put some dog mane. Start early, girl. Put some dog mane on that. Let that hair grow. That's what I would tell my younger self.
Okay. Is there anything that you want to say to the public out there? Your final words, whatever you want to plug, your social media. Whatever.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The main thing I want to say is, I hope I wasn't reading my iPad time. Sorry, I just read my notes. Okay. Sorry. But the last thing that I do want to leave with, why am I not together? I should have did the ponytail. But the last thing that I want to leave with is that I share my story not in hopes to garner sympathy or to brag or to boast, but I share to demonstrate that life is going to hand you lemons. It's going to. And all I'm saying is, when life does hand you lemons, get that, throw a little pepper with it, and put it on some wings, baby. Because that lemon pepper be slapping. It's what you make of it.
Right. Life is what you make of it. Okay.
Oh, and then don't forget, you got to follow me on TikTok. That's my TikTok, which is Dr. Davina DMP. My hope there is to use my story and my lifestyle to encourage and to encourage. What am I doing? Encourage, motivating, and empowering women to reach their full potential. And then, you know what, Abe? I thought I was reaching out to the younger girls because I was a young girl who was a teenage mother. But come to find out, when I look at my TikTok and the people who follow me and the people who give me support, they really are my sisters rather than I thought I was the auntie vibe. That's what I thought I was giving. But my nieces ain't trying to mess with me. My sisters are. I'm really reaching a demographic between the ages of 20 to 50. And so I definitely want my queens to know. That's why I want to use my story about my relationship and how life can change. Because I want my queens to know that, we can have it all and we can do it all and we can make it do what it do. Like I said, with resilience and perseverance. And you said something about life isn't a marathon, isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. But I like to think of it more like a movie or even a book, because some chapters are not going to be good, but one bad chapter does not make a bad book. And that's all I want to say. Okay. Now I have to drop the mic on that because that was fire right there. That was fire.
All right. That is our interview with Dr. Davina Whitehurst, from GED to PhD. Cross that out, say D and P. Very inspiring story. Dr. Davina, it was a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much.